Hey YouTube, it's your favorite mega church cult survivor, Leah Lauder, and I'm back. I've been very unwell, so this is why I look a hot mess, but I'm here showing up all nonetheless. So today I'm going to be exposing a church cult called RPF, and I'm going to be looking at how pred behavior of the pastor exposes women to pred behavior, essay, grape, all different types of manipulation. And I'm going to look at the different tactics that pred cult leaders use and what that looks like. I'm also going to be dipping my toes into how hyper religious environments exasperate people's mental health, because there have been a lot of reports from survivors that have exited RPF church cult, and there has been a lot around the exasperation of mental health, people going into full-blown psychosis. It just gets worse and worse. So I'm going to kick off now. If you're watching this later on YouTube or Instagram, please bear in mind that this is a pre-recorded live. I am on TikTok live currently, so I will be answering survivors' questions if there are any, and I will be saying hello to survivors on the live. Queen Nance in the cut. Nancy, can you hear me? Does the mic sound all right? Welcome. Laura, does the mic sound all right? Is my sound okay? Can you let me know, my loves? Anyone on the live, really. Just quickly, I'll introduce myself. My name's Leah Lauder. I'm a mega church cult survivor. I spent 18 years in a mega church cult under Dag Heward Mills, and now I come online and I expose mega church cults. All right, brilliant. Thank you, my love. Since I've started speaking out, other survivors have come forward and started to share their accounts with me, and this is how I'm here. So let's get into it. Let's just get straight into it. I want to say I'm disabled. My mega church cult, because of the trauma and the ABUSC, has left me disabled with severe mental health. So my backside should be at Notting Hill Carnival, because I'm the princess of Labrador Grove, of Grove W10. No one can dispute that. Because if anyone from Grove, anytime, anywhere, any day, anytime, want to come and challenge my princess of Grove position, I'll meet them any day, anywhere. Do you know what I'm saying? And we can talk about it in person, baby, because I'm a third generation Grove gal them in the cut. You know them ones. No one's even I've got any chat for me, babe. You get me? Yeah, Nancy, please take lots of videos and record it all. Do you get me? But I've been going to carnival since I was born, so I'm in here. All right, let's get into it. Pred behavior of the pastor. I'm going to be using RPF as a case study. Why? Because Pastor Austin groomed his church member, Michelin. They call her Mama Mish. And I think they were engaged from about 19. She was 18 when she started the church cult, allegedly. That's what survivors are saying. That's what word in these RPF streets is about. Did I ever hear of Anna Christian? No. What's that, girl? And so he's groomed his member and ended up marrying her. So what he's got is he's got this Irvin and Lave that completely worships and idolizes him. It gives him a free reign to do whatever he wants, treat her however he wants. She is severely indoctrinated. This is a huge breach of his position of power. He's in a trusted position. It's like a doctor marrying his patient, a therapist marrying their client. Do you know what I mean? A police officer marrying the frigging person that they had in police custody, a teacher marrying a student. It's exactly the same. He's in a position of a trusted position of authority and power. So we have to take in to consideration the power dynamic. Listen, I dated a guy that was 10 years older than me when I was 18, and his D was huge. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's even just things like that, like just taking it in the bedroom. It's all these kind of things that we need to consider, guys. You don't think about these things, but I'm very blunt. I speak the truth, Chair, because the truth shall set you free. That's why they're not free in there, because there's no truth. It's just false doctrine and lies. All right. So the first point is power imbalance, authority exploitation. So because Pastor Austin is a pastor, he's holding spiritual, emotional, and communal authority. There was a piece that I reposted on my main account. If you're not following me on TikTok on my main account, Leah Lauder 7, please do. And it was about communal narcissism. And I didn't look into it very deeply, but I know that the cult leaders in these spaces would fit into that. Do you know what I mean? Because it is that communal worship. It's that congregation. It's that corporate prayer and meetings and conferences that we hold. So there is going to be that communal narcissism, okay? Through the communal authority. Remember that when we look at the cult characteristics and structures, we see that the cult leader is the ultimate authority. So therefore, they hold they are the infallible truth and the ultimate word in these environments. So you can imagine that before she became his wife, she was a normal congregation member, worshipping him, idolizing him. In this video that I put up on my main account, the way she's looking at Pastor Austin is how all the gal them look at their pastors. Now, I was in the cult for 18 years. I've been around a lot of first ladies. There's been a lot in my day. But when a pastor marries his congregation member, she is acting just the same way as all the other girls in the cult. So do you see it will kind of breed that sister wife culture in the church cult? Because Michelin wasn't like an ordinate, she was a member. She was a sold out member. She was a part of the fold. So remember, they do up a lot of cloning. So what he's able to do is groom and mold this 19-year-old girl into whatever he wants her to be, his ideal of what a perfect RPF woman should be. And then she's going to be using her power and her influence to be guiding, counseling, mentoring, advising, whatever it is, the young girls. And it's still going to be that one voice, because she's going to be listening to absolutely everything Pastor Austin says. She doesn't have a mind of her own. Thanks for the follow. Also, she's very uneducated. Guys, I'm not saying this as a dig. I'm not saying this as a whatever, but I'm going to keep it real with you. RPF attracts a lot of people from deprived areas, low income, low social status and class, a lot of uneducated people, a lot of ex-addicts, a lot of people with severe mental health. We can see the type of people, the cohort, the demographic of people that are in there, predominantly they look like they're predominantly Black, African or Caribbean ancestry, or they're brown people. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this is the main demographic that they've got in there. So their target audience is kids, and it's people from deprived neighborhoods, and it's uneducated people, etc. So someone like Michelin can easily slide into that first lady role. She's saying things like, when devil comes and attacks you, we need to know that devil will attack you. She's not even structuring and framing sentences together to have coherent sentences that you can understand, that flow. It's like devil and devil. It's so we can see that this is a very uneducated, vulnerable, naive, easily impressionable girl that he has taken and literally molded into whatever he wanted to be. 70 people in. Oh, thank you, Esther. All right. So we need to consider all of this. I want to say that a lot of survivors from RPF have come forward and whistleblowed on the religious organization. The reason why I haven't covered RPF as yet is because I haven't had one strong person. With every cult that I really go ham on, there's been one person that's come in and really driven it forward. Okay. And also the survivors that have come forward, their mental health, because I'm a qualified social worker, and I have to assess the survivors that come forward. I can't just have survivors coming on and they're in psychosis, or they don't have the capacity to even understand what it is that they're doing. I'm not a pastor, I'm not a prophetess, so I don't take advantage of people. Thanks for the follow, Jackie. All right. So that's why I haven't driven the RPF work forward, because the people that come out, their mental health is so bad. There's even a case right now, allegedly, where one of their members has gone into full psychosis. I've had someone come and whistleblow and tell me about it. So it's not that I can't expose RPF, because there's too much to expose about RPF. I'm going to be doing one later where I'm going to be exposing the cult leader in Nigeria, Bishop Paul. I think his name is Abimwaego. Okay, I'm going to be exposing him because he's also an SA and a pred. All right. So I'm going to be exposing that. A lot of them, like the one that's coming in here chatting, you don't even know who Bishop Paul Ademwayego is. You don't even know that he's little girls. They ain't got no hair. They've been SA'd, they've been ABUSE'd in Nigeria, my love. So I'm going to be covering that later. I'm going to be doing a live on TikTok, Instagram, all at the same time, and doing an explosive expose on the pred behavior of RPF. And this is why, because they like kids. That's why Pastor Austin's gone for a little girl. All right. So he's taken advantage of his position of power, because she was a teenager at the time. Allegedly, she was 19 years old and a normal member of the congregation. So we're going to look at a bit of theory to back up and support what I'm saying. Max Weber's charismatic authority. This is what I'm using. People surrender their judgment because the leader is seen as divinely chosen. So we've got that element of infallible truth, ultimate authority. He's never wrong. So you have to understand, women that marry these men of God, they believe that there has to be an anointing, a special divine something that God's given them to even be able to marry a man of God, because they ABUSE the women. It's like a hotel. They're like a tenant, as she described, Mama Misha. They use the house like a hotel. They're married to the church cult. They have emotional affairs with their congregation. All right. They choose these type of women because they want to be able to do whatever they want to do in the ministry, and they won't say anything. All right. They'll just sit there and they'll just because they worship them. So they can't imagine in a marriage where women have already internalized misogyny, that this man is the head. Remember, the canon Bible was put together to give us a patriarchal and misogynistic, Eurocentric, slave master colonization lens of Christianity. Okay. So the women have already got all of that internalization. Then we've got the epigenetics, if they're coming from, like African backgrounds, for example, where they're just taught to be a slave. So we've already got all of that toxic mixture, and Michelin is from that dynamic. She comes from a background of a mum that wasn't there for her. So she's taken on Austin's mother, like her own mother. We are taught to worship and respect and give so much adoration to the pastor's mum. Yeah, it has to be so extra. So we see that in her because she was a normal member. Don't you get it? Before she became his wife. So that's going to be exasperated times 1,000, because it's going to be a hyper kind of sensationalized Proverbs 31 archetype. So this is, out of all of the first ladies, out of all of the wogs in these church cults, Michelin is going to be the most radical, because she's the most vulnerable, she's the most uneducated, she was the most groomed, in my opinion. Then we've got the other element of an unorganized, unsecure attachment with her mother. Do you understand what I'm saying? Which makes her even more vulnerable. Austin's probably the most security that she's ever received in her life. So she's had a very dysfunctional upbringing. Okay. And this is the same story. This is the type of girls, the demographic that come into the church cult. So when we've got a girl that's very vulnerable, very uneducated, doesn't know much about anything, and these first ladies will cover and wrap their uneducation, their vulnerabilities, because I don't think she can read very well. Because she has, I know some of these first ladies have people who read out the Bible and stuff, but it's like they read out absolutely everything. So there might be a little bit of, because I don't know when she stopped her education. Was she straight out of college? Then she started going to RPF. Her last form of education could have been college. And then my girl has had no access to education, different cultural experiences, different people. It's just RPF. Yeah. So someone like that is going to have the mindset of like a child. Do you understand what I'm saying? When we also look at the rewiring of the brain, the indoctrination, how it reshapes the brain, the high level exposure to narcissism, etc. All right. So back to the theory of Max Weber. So the charismatic authority, this is when people surrender their judgment because the leader is seen as divinely chosen. So I'm just repeating that so it ties up everything I've said. She's looking at this man like divinely chosen. She's looking like she can't answer back. So what if she's getting ABUSED? These first ladies are not going to see it as this is emotional neglect. This man is emotionally intelligent and unable to provide support and support me in my emotional needs. He's not there for me because he can't be. He hasn't healed from his own trauma. Thanks for the follow, Vicky. He hasn't healed from the same trauma. So he's married someone like this because she's severely indoctrinated. She's going to see it like, oh, he's my tenant. He's married to the church. He's So these people are in a marriage with themselves. Actually, they're not. Do you know what they do? They go into hyper religiosity and spiritual psychosis, and they make God their husband, which is very unhealthy. I've got video evidence of her saying it. So they develop this really warped, perverse, unhealthy relationship with God, where they make God like their husband and they exchange their husband with God because that's all they have. Do you understand how dangerous that is, y'all? Because then that doctrine is going to be very hyper religious and from a lens of emotional ABUSE, but it's going to be wrapped and packaged and masked in hyper religiosity because these women are very uneducated. So it will be very extreme Christianity. So it will be a lot of praying in tongues. She'll be like when it comes to praying in tongues, I believe Michelin can outpray anybody because that's all she has. That's all she has. When they don't have the knowledge, they present themselves like it's all they have is the radicalization. That's all that they have. So it's like the smoke and mirrors. It's like it's like a smoke screen. So that's what people see because that's the outcome. Do you know what I mean? They judge everything by external outcomes. So it's like we have to see you that you're a prayer warrior. You can pray for 12 hours, 24 hours. You know all the scripture. So it's really dangerous because for lack of knowledge, our people perish. Her whole preaching with her power source or whatever, she was doing some ladies conference, was all about women keeping their mouth shut, not talking too much, this, that, and the third. By the end of it, she's given me content on a golden platter because she's so naive, so uneducated that even when she opens her mouth, she's telling on herself because she doesn't have that understanding. She doesn't have that cognitive processing to be able to think before she speaks because she's like a child. She just talks. And with the preaching, what I noticed with her is it's all very like almost like Austin sat there and helped her put together the preaching. So it doesn't go like anywhere else but the points that has been written out for her. So it's like we're going to go to First Samuel this, then we're going to go, because when it comes to preaching, it comes to like the construction of preaching, it comes to all like no one's going to tell me anything. Because I was in there for 18 years. It was like, I couldn't believe what she was talking about. I was just sitting there looking at the congregation and it's just aunties. Aunties, we know, guys, that same demographic. They are the older version of the younger ones that are sitting in the congregation. So it's just a cycle. It's just a cycle. Thanks for the follow, my love. It's a really unhealthy cycle. So you've got the blind leading the blind. Do you understand? All right. Then we've got so basically in him grooming her and targeting her to marry her, yeah, he leveraged this to blur boundaries and make the relationship seem God ordained. So these type of false prophets, yeah, they're very good at mystical manipulation. So he would have sat down and calculated all of this already. But when he comes to the congregation, do you see that the mystical manipulation comes in the form of the prophetic utterance? This is a divine marriage. And then can you imagine how she must have felt getting chosen? Because every girl is sitting there wishing that their pastor's wife would delete themselves so that they could go into that position. That's all they daydream about 24 hours a day because they're all in love with their pastors. So could you imagine this dream becoming a reality, it becoming materialized? She described him as the perfect husband. She's married someone perfect. That's because of the indoctrination. She sees him like God, like Jesus. She worships him. So that is very unhealthy. He's taken, like, this is probably the worst case of pred behavior that I've ever seen since I've been doing this. This is really, really bad. And I've got to expose it. I would say to all young, vulnerable women to stay away from RPF. It's not a safe environment, okay? He just, this guy, yeah, just wants all the women, this guy, Austin, here, he just wants all the women to worship him in the cult. It's absolutely warped, all right? Guys, I'm going to have to restart the live soon just because they do report it a lot and I do need these recordings for YouTube. All right. So grooming through spiritual justification. So this often involves framing exploitation as special, holy, or destined. So not only is there going to be that rhetoric from Austin, he's also going to be able to groom her from the pulpit and give her indirects through mystical manipulation and spiritual utterances. Then you've got everyone else in the congregation that worships this man. Oh my God, you're being anointed by God. God is, you know, there's going to be all of that. And people won't see it as ABUSE. They'll see it as divine favor because that's what it's packaged as. They're all brainwashed in there, yeah. She's likely to believe that being chosen by the pastor meant she was elevated, not exploited. So she's seeing it as an elevation. She's seeing it as she's anointed. Because that's the bubble of psychosis that he's wrapped them in, that he's this divine prophet. And so, you know, this is God ordaining her. This is an anointing from God. This is destiny. You're going to hear all of that because she's uneducated. So it's just going to be hyper religiosity. Like with Michelin, you couldn't speak about anything else but scriptures, the Bible, cleaning, a wife, Proverbs. You've got to stay within those parameters because she doesn't have knowledge on anything else. This is so sad. And then we've got isolation and enmeshment. So by becoming his partner, she lost pair relationships, independence, and her chance to explore life at her own pace. So if my theory is right, that she left college and didn't go on to university and has been in RPF since that time, and then they get you to isolate all your friends, her life stopped at that point. And that's what I think he wanted. because that's what Preds want. They want vulnerable, naive women who don't know anything about anything. That's Austin. He's just like his spiritual father, Paul Adam Maego. I'm going to be exposing him later on in the evening. All right. So, and then the theory behind this is that cult leaders use bounded choice. So this is by expert Yanya Lalage, making victims believe their only choice is the cult approved one. So there's that culture in there already. So could you imagine how exasperated this would be in her mind? This is spiritual psychosis. All right. So now we're going to look at her vulnerabilities. Okay. She had no mum in her life. Another interesting thing about Michelin is because she did this power source convention. That was his worst. They shouldn't have exposed her. Someone like that needs to stay behind the scenes. So she didn't have a mother growing up. So a woman that doesn't have a mother, like mothering is so key. Thanks for the follow, Joanna. I didn't have my dad in my life, but I have noticed the difference in women that haven't had a mother in their life. Yeah, that's your nurturer. So do you see how easy that would be for someone like Austin to come in and GROOM her? Because she hasn't had that nurturing. She hasn't had that care and that upbringing. She hasn't been raised. So these pastors talk a lot about raising people up, and it's so sad. But the interesting thing is she didn't say why she didn't have her mother in her life. And the interesting thing about that is they'll be getting 14-year-olds and very vulnerable young people and children to get up there and be talking about men eating from the great bowl, getting essayed, all different types of intimate, personal, confidential information that no one should be talking about. Because there's also Preds in the congregation that are going to look and say, oh, she's had a loose past. That's how they're going to internal like process it. They're not going to see it like this is a vulnerable girl that's been through a lot, blah blah blah, and then they'll prey on that person. She just said that her mum wasn't there and her auntie took over. All right, so don't be so quick to be chatting your business in front of loads of people because the first lady's not doing it. You know what I mean? All right, so let's look at her attachment wound. Without a stable mother figure, she may have lacked a secure base. So she doesn't have that security. So somewhere like RPF, Austin, whatever, it would have been like a dream come true, like exasperated. So that's why when you see these women laying on the floor, on their face, on their knees for their husband, do you see that's not normal behavior, JL? That's emotional instability. That is an outcome of the trauma. And then all the girls are going to be fantasizing that type of relationship. Do you see where it's just a toxic cycle of ABUSE? So attachment fairy, let's look at Bowlby. Children without consistent caregiving often seek external figures to parent them in adulthood. The pastor easily stepped into that role. Again, it's not about him being a father role. It's about him being a nurturer, caring about them. She also said in the video, he's given his life for all of us. Everything we know is because of Pastor Austin. Everything we know. She's talking like a member, like a fan, like a child, an excited youth member, because that is what she was when she started, what she always will be, and he took advantage of her and he GROOMED'd her. So we don't get like the stance of a normal first lady because she's not. He's taken advantage of that. All right. I want to think if there'd be anything else. I think that does cover it. So and then we'll go on to father figure, surrogate parent dynamic. Preds identify people with unmet parental needs and present themselves as protector, guide, or authority. You see, you have to remember that a lot of these cult leaders are narcissists. So they don't marry a woman for a life partner, for them to love, for them to cherish, companionship. They marry them as a supply. And the women that they usually marry, these malignant narcissists, are usually high grade supplies. Okay, so he's that supply of like the desperation, the naivety, the full dependency. It's not even codependency, it's full dependency, Jaya. Do you know what I'm saying? Guys, we're not liking the live. Guys, I've been on here for a good amount of time and it's at 400. If it's not up to like 1,000 in 5 minutes, I'm gonna have to go, because there is no protection of the live. Guys, I'm putting in a lot of energy into this. If you're on here and this is helping you, can you please like the live? When Lucy is not here, it don't get up, Chair. Like up the live, guys, please. let's get these likes up, chair, because it protects the space. If the likes ain't doing nothing for me, chair, I've got 8 accounts. I can't build one account consistently and, you know, have all of the benefits and perks that TikTok do up. The like and the live is to protect the space. Thank God that I did. Listen, if I had a mind about money, I wouldn't be doing this. I would have given up a long time ago. Because you can make a lot of money on social media, but the way I have to use it is like mobilization and to get the message out. All right. Guys, to let you know, this is one of my 8 accounts. This is how much they tried to silence me. So that's why I need the live light. Thank you, guys. All right, so the relationship wasn't just romantic. It was also filling a deep parental void. So could you imagine what that type of supply is like for him? She's a member, like a fan, and then become his wife. That is like lifelong supply, chair. This is crazy. So all of the women in there must be like sister wives. What I imagine it's like is really like a family cult vibe. So once they get their claws into you, it's going to be very, very difficult to leave. And also, I think that, I don't know, I feel like he's into things as well, that Austin. I think he does go into other realms, and because whether they know they're dabbling or not, the whole thing's a cult. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it's the root. All right. Need for belonging and security. The church cult became her family. Look at this. I was just saying that, and then it's gone into this. Because this is from ChatGPT, and then I just give my thoughts on it. Yeah. Parent, partner. So this is the dynamic is going to be like father, daughter. Thanks for the follow, because before she became his wife, she would have been a daughter of the house. So do you see how sick this is? Because guys, it's not about, we've got to think in a spiritual dynamic now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, not from a physical, because this is all done in the psyche. So psychologically, she was seeing this man as a pastor, her spiritual father. Do you see how warped this is? And so even in the marriage, the dynamic is like pastor, father, daughter. That's why I say it's like spiritual incest. And I'm writing a book, and what I think I'm going to involve in that as well is I'm going to be looking at Sigmund Freud. You know, he's got a lot of work around like how, and he's had a lot of criticism around this, but I think this is going to be absolutely pioneering in me kind of giving my expertise within this whole area of church cult, ABUSE, because when I bring in Sigmund Freud's theory into it, and I can really explain those perverse, warped ideological perspectives that they indoctrinate you with, it'll be very interesting. Yeah, and the attachment theory is very important. Trolls, if you haven't noticed, I'm not listening to you today because this is Professor Leah, all right? And this is for my YouTube as well, my Instagram. And my YouTube has been growing. Everything's at a nice pace, a nice growth pace, okay? The thing is working. I have 8 mega church cults across TikTok. Then my headquarters is in YouTube. It's a new established online building that I am just doing. And so at the moment it's over about 768 something. I have given YouTube none of my time. I just put regurgitated, recycled content on there. So once I start to put the money in there and I really focus on YouTube, I think it will be a nice headquarters for us. But at the moment, I've got a big branch on YouTube with over 5,000 followers. Then I have over 2,500 on Instagram. That's another mega charge. Then I have 8 on TikTok. So I have a lot. And one person, I'm like David. I just have my stone and my slick shot, but I can take on a Goliath. All right. So let's get into it, y'all. So the need for belonging and security, the church became her family, the pastor, her parent, partner. So that's a parent-partner dynamic. That's not like a usual kingdom marriage, okay? Maslow's hierarchy, we know that that's the you know, like the pyramid of needs. It's a really great model. If you don't know it, go and check it out, all right? Her basic need for love and belonging was hijacked and exploited. So the Maslow hierarchy of needs, just quickly, it just shows that everybody has a necessity to feel loved, needs a roof over their head. He's basically showing all of the things that a human being needs, which is, it's basically a necessity to support their needs. Guys, I'm so tired. I hope it's making sense. Share. All right. No, babe, what's sad is your 38-year-old pastor grooming a 19-year-old vulnerable young woman that never had her mum in her life, isn't educated past college level. my love. Yeah. And she is currently, how old is she? 27, 26, and Austin's 37. So that's what I think is sad. All right, so we're going to look into the radicalization and worship of him, of Pastor Austin, okay? Because he's already created a self-sealing system of an echo chamber where he's indoctrinated everyone to think like him, talk like him, walk like him, act like him. So everybody's regurgitated the same slurs and tones of Pastor Austin. And then through grooming Michelin and making her the first lady, he's able to clone all the other women. Do you know what I mean? That's why she wears her head wrap. She's never not got on that head wrap chair, because she's like the exasperated, radicalized version of what a RPF, you know, a good spiritual daughter, a good RPF woman should be like. Yeah. All right. So radicalization and worship of him. Idealization, so trauma bonding. She worshipped him because he became the only source of love. Isn't that sad? Approval and salvation as well. So remember, he's a savior to her. And then she's married someone like this. Could you imagine intimately as well, the dynamics of this? This is crazy, Chair. Trauma bond theory, Dutton and Painter. Cycles of attention, validation, and fear bond victims more tightly to abusers. So you got to remember, because she was a spiritual daughter of the house, every time she hears him preaching, she's his pastor. He's her pastor. That's what he was before they became married. So she's internalizing everything he says. This is so deep, man. Then we've got sacred marriage narrative. Cult leaders often frame these relationships as divine unions. Oh, God. So imagine the courting, imagine the engagement process, imagine all of that, all of the mystical manipulation and the dreams and all of that. She must have been going into spiritual psychosis, hallucinations, delusions that seeps through into your unconscious, the subconscious mind, which is the element of the dreams, which would be influencing, you know, her into her subconscious, because they take over your subconscious mind, you see. It's all psychology. Thank you, girl. I had to go really deep because I had to deprogram myself, because they indoctrinated me, they programmed me, and I went so deep, having been in a spiritual institution, which is like being in a spiritual university for 18 years. And then because they rejected me so much in there, and I felt like I had to prove myself, I immersed myself into education. So I'm also an academic. I'm very educated. And when it comes to my field and my expertise, no one can touch me on this, because I've got divine knowledge as well, because I have a relationship with God. So I'm a hearer and a seer. So no one can touch. It's just the combination. Plus, I'm from the roads. I'm a reformed gangster. Are you all right? And then I spent 18 years in a mega church cult. It's too much. All right. Unfortunately, I don't understand what you're saying, my love. Actually, do you know what? I think when you think people too much on here, sometimes that I go, love you too. Love you, all you RPFers that are here, that are helping the algorithm. Thank you so much. Love you. Okay. And they would say things like, this is the kind of manipulative things that he would be saying. To marry me is to marry God's will. Yeah. Oh, he called me a witch. Oh, lovely. Some of the nicest women that I know and have met online and are part of the collective are witches. So do you know what? I'm going to take that as a compliment. I'm not a witch. I'm a goddess. Do you know what? A witch is too low for me. I'm a goddess. Yeah. But I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that, because witches are so talented. It just means wise women. And they are actually the women that all of these patriarchs and misogynists unalived, you know, back in the day, so that they couldn't share the knowledge. Do you get it? Because before the doctors and whatever were the herbalists, was the women with all the knowledge, you see. So I don't mind getting called a witch, but I am a goddess. Please, could you please tell your posters to get it right? That's why my voice holds vibration. So that's why what I'm doing is working. I'm only one woman. All right. So please tell them to, if they're going to chat my name, put some respect on my name. I'm a goddess. All right. Okay. That's why they don't stand no chance with me. Jezebel, witches, Delilah, they ain't got nothing on me, baby. They ain't got nothing on me. I'm like Mary Magdalene, sweetie. That's the level. All right, love? All right? The alabaster box, the crying with the tears, washing Christ's feet and drying them with her hair. That's what I'm on. Yeah? But what happens if you're oppressed by them? I'm going to get into that, babe, because I'm going to talk about the mental health in the second segment. So make sure you're following me and make sure you come on for the part 2. Let me finish this and then I'll answer your question, my love. Okay. Oh, was Delilah a goddess? Oh, I didn't know that, my love. Well, whatever the goddess then be, that's what I am. I'm not a witch. Do you understand what I'm saying? I have more power than a witch. I'm not a witch. Do you understand what I'm saying? Witches are very powerful, but I'm higher than a witch. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm God's child. I'm only joking. Witches can be, we're all God's children, but I'm higher than that. I'm a goddess, my love. I shift and change and shape and change realities. All right. So tell them to get it right. Clack it. Loss of critical thinking. So this is a huge one, guys. Radicalization suppresses questioning. And you know why they can't handle me? Because they'll be like, blasphemy. She's equalizing herself to God. But they think they're gods. So in order for me to even to be able to even do this, I've got to get into the level of the pastors. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like having those grandiose ideologies of self-chair. That's the only way it can be done. Do you get it? That's why they want to paint me as the witch and do up whatever. Babe, I'm a goddess. Get it right. Get it right. I did most of these mogs and wogs and whatever, they came from someone. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I didn't come from no one, babe. Like, do you get me? They discarded me. This is from the ground up. I took myself out of the gutter. You all right? I've been in the wilderness. It's been me, one up. No team, no nothing. When I came online to chat my chat, and I was calling out the cults. Are you all right? I'm not afraid of no one, babes. No one had my back. The collective came after. I don't care. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't care. All right, let me get on to the last bit. Radicalization suppresses questioning. So the theory to back this up is the thought reform by Lifton. And that's what they done. They done up a lot of... the thought reform is changing your thoughts. The way you process, your cognitive processing. So that's what they did in China. Do you understand what I'm saying? With when you look at... what do you call it? You know, countries like South Korea and that. Do you know what I mean? That's what they've used there. So this is the same tactics that they're doing up in these church cult spaces. That's why you get the lack of individuality. They're scripted. There's cloning. There's no autonomy. It's like lights are on, no one's home. It's that type of vibe. Do you understand? So they use a lot of loaded language. So cult jargon. Lay your roof in the car. Lay your roof, please. Yeah. Help me like this live. Guys, you need to continuously like the live. I don't have any of my usual people on here. So if you're on here and you're really feeling it, like it's really resonating with you and you just found it, you have to help me protect the space. Share. All right. Closed logic. So that's the black and white thinking. That's the dogmatic thinking. That's the way they shut down any talk about, because in these systems, you're not allowed to talk about the pastor. That's why I'm on here, talk about them every day. Because baby, I will talk. No one is going to silence me, babe. I'm not in your self-sealing system. So I'm going to be talking. All right. And you don't have to be her. You can just keep on scrolling. Closed logic and sacred narratives eliminate any doubt. So this is my summary, guys. Yeah, that's okay. This is the summary. And then I'm going to restart the live so I can have this recorded for YouTube. So in essence, guys, in summary, this wasn't romance. It was exploitation. A pastor used his authority to groom a vulnerable 19-year-old who lacked a maternal figure and was searching for belonging. He filled that gap. Framed himself as God's chosen husband for her and radicalized her into worshipping him. It's predation disguised as prophecy. And that's what Austin did. Austin is a predator. I'm going to restart the live. If you want to come back on, come back on. We're going to be coming for part 2. YouTube, thank you for listening. And Instagram, please remember to follow and subscribe. I'll be back, guys. I'm going to restart.